people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new recent reads video. The first book on this list is called Nora in the Immortal Palace. This book is a middle-grade fantasy following a young Pakistani Muslim main character as she gets swallowed into the jinn world after trying to rescue her best friend, who gets swallowed by the mines. I rated this book 4 stars because I really enjoyed it. First of all, the world building was absolutely so amazing, and it was so immersive and atmospheric, and it made the story so much easier to fall in love with. You know what I mean? The characters were so well developed and so distinct, and the friendship was so lovely, and it was absolutely so wonderful and so well done. The plot was so engaging and it was so intriguing, and I loved the conversation of poverty through the perspective of a young child. That was literally done so well. This book is so good, and it deserves all of the hype and so much more. So with that, I would highly recommend it, because this book is absolutely so amazing, and I will gladly read more from the author in the future. The next book on this list is called The Charmed List. This book is a YA urban fantasy, and it follows a young girl whose magical summer takes a completely different direction than she was expecting. And honestly, this book also took a completely different direction than I was expecting, and I rated it 3 stars, and I really wanted to rate it higher, because if you didn't know, this book was on my July TBR, because it's written by the same author who wrote the Eva Evergreen duology, and I'm still so excited for Ariana Girl of Dragons, which are all middle grade fantasies, and this book is her YA debut. But honestly, maybe she should stick to writing middle grade, because this book wasn't that great. First of all, the magic system, I didn't really jam with, because it felt way too coincidental, and I wish that the characters could have communicated without it. You know what I mean? Speaking of the characters together, I didn't really like them because I didn't really like the romance itself. I understand the appeal and I understand kind of the chemistry, but for me, best friends to lovers is one of my least favorite tropes, and so is enemies to lovers, and so is forced proximity. So those 3 tropes together, for me, wasn't really my taste. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, the plot was intriguing and it was engaging, and the world building was interesting at first, but later on, it wasn't anymore. You know what I mean? Because the magic became just too coincidental, and I just didn't really like it that much. So anyway, all that to say, I rated this book 3 stars, and I didn't really like it as much as I was anticipating, so take that as you will. I don't really recommend this book at all. The next book on this list is called The Darkening. This book is another YA fantasy, and it follows a young girl in the midst of a rebellion who has to infiltrate the prince's inner circle in order to save her dad. This is another book on my July TBR that also didn't live up to my expectations, and I rated it 3 stars. First of all, the plot was pretty intriguing and engaging, and the world building was pretty interesting and immersive, but honestly, I didn't care about the characters, and I didn't care about the romance because it felt way too fast, and I don't care about the politics, at all. I don't like political fantasies, because then, with the politics, it's no longer an escape. You know what I mean? It becomes, too convoluted and too complicated. I don't quite understand, why it's happening or how it's happening, or, the stakes or anything like that. Also, sorry if I sound sick. It's because I am. But anyway, I didn't really like this book as much as I was really hoping to. I don't care to read the sequel or anything like that. So, yeah, there's that. Take that as you will. Basically, I didn't really love this book as much as I was really hoping I would. I don't know why I didn't love the characters, but, I just didn't. So, anyway, I rated this book 3 stars. Take that as you will. I won't be reading the sequel, and I don't recommend it. The next book on this list is called Brenda's Island. At least, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not completely sure on that. But anyway, this book is a middle-grade contemporary, and it follows a young girl who's sent away to live at a place that she's never been with a relative that she's never really met. And she learns a lot about family along the way. This book is absolutely so good. But first of all, the cover is so pretty, and the story inside is also so pretty. I had really low expectations for this book, honestly, because I've DNF'd the author's previous YA books, but this book, I believe, is their middle grade debut, and it was so good. First of all, the Irish history and culture was so rich, and it was so well developed, and it made the story so much more immersive and atmospheric. Second of all, the family dynamics was so well done and so wonderful. The plot was so intriguing and so engaging. The characters were so well developed and so distinct. I loved the relationship between the main character and her grandfather. That was literally done so well. This book is absolutely so good, and it's so underrated, and it deserves so much more hype. So anyway, with all that said, I rated this book 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it, so I would highly recommend it. The next book on this list is called A Perfect Mistake. This book is another middle grade contemporary, and it follows a young boy who's investigating what really happened the night that resulted in his best friend being in a coma, and it's not exactly a mystery that everybody wants him to investigate. This book is absolutely so good, and I'm so glad that it lived up to my expectations. This author is absolutely so talented, and I will gladly read more from her in the future, because I rated this book and all of her previous books 4 stars, because I really enjoyed it. First of all, the mystery itself was so immersive, and it was absolutely so lovely and so well done. The plot was so intriguing, and it was so engaging. The characters felt so authentic and so well done. The ADHD representation in the main character was so lovely, and I just really enjoyed every single second of this book, because the story was so awesome, and I was so immersed in everything that was happening, in the characters and in everything. Like the relationship between, for example, the main character and his uncle was literally so well done. Literally, this book is so good, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, with all that said, I would highly recommend it. The last book on this list, and solely not the least, is called Etta, Invincible. This book is a middle grade urban fantasy that follows a young, black, disabled main character as she goes on a magical journey on a train and faces her fears. This book is absolutely so good, and I really enjoyed it. First of all, the disability representation was so good, and I'm so glad that this book exists, because the amount of books that I've read with black disabled main characters, I can count on one hand, and this book is absolutely so special, and it's so good. Second of all, the plot was so intriguing, and it was absolutely so engaging. Third of all, the world building was so atmospheric, and it was so well done, because it really made the story so much more engaging and immersive. Third of all, the found family friendship group was so well done, and a little detail that I really appreciated is that the main character and all of her friends were people of color, because I'm so used to the main character being the only token person of color in the friend group. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically this book was so good, and it's so well done, and it's so necessary and so timely, not just for the representation, but also for the story itself, because it was so good. This book is so good, and it's so underrated, and I'm so glad that this book lived up to my expectations, because if you didn't know, this book was on my July TBR. So anyway, with all that said, I would definitely highly recommend it. So, in conclusion, I would recommend all of the 4-star books on this list, which is everything except for The Darkening and The Charmed list, so take that as you will. If you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the mushroom emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!